CORS. Confused Origin Repelling System. Just kidding. CORS stands for Cross Origin Resource Sharing, and it is one of those errors that can really put developers' patience to their limit. As a developer, you must have faced this error quite often. But what exactly is CORS? Let's take an example. You have a really super cool game in your house. You can access it anytime you need it. No need to ask anyone. It's yours. But when your friend from your class requests for the game, you might have a lot of questions in your head. This request came from outside your house, and this game will be accessed in some other house. So you define some rules that only your friend can take it. And your friend cannot access every game. He can access only some games you allowed. Similar thing when happens in web app world is known as CORS, Cross Origin Resource Sharing, which means outside your space, you allow the access to few entities. Let's say you are developing a website and you are on a local host. You are trying to call one API of passbook.in from your local host. Now you may or may not get the response back. If you get the CORS error, which means passbook.in denied it. Why? For that, let's understand the browser's policy. Browsers implement SOP, same origin policy, and it is really strict about it. But what is SOP? Well, if the request is from the same URL and domain, just allow it. Browser will accept it. But if some other URL or domain is trying to access your resource, then security check will happen. If it is in the allowed list, then only browser will accept it. Let's take our previous example. When you hit an API from your local host to passbook.in, browser adds an origin header in the request. Now, when server processes the request and sends the response, but does not add any special headers to handle the CORS, browser's same origin policy will come into picture and browser will throw error of unknown origin. So for this, if server decides to implement CORS, then in the response, server also needs to add some special headers like access control allow origin, access control allow methods, and there are a couple of more to put on the CORS restriction. So anything apart from the listed websites or the domain cannot really access these APIs. If the value of these headers is a wildcard, that is star, then everyone can access it. For security, however, this will be hard-coded to some domain or subdomains. For example, star.myweb.com. So in that case, xyz.myweb.com and abcd.myweb.com both can access the server resource. In our case, server will also need to add localhost in this list. You can also put multiple domains with a comma operator. So something like star.abc.com, star.xyz.in. You can see the value of these headers by inspecting Browser Network tab. When some non-allowed domain is trying to access these APIs, browser will throw CORS. Note that in this case, you won't see the headers for which website it is allowed, obviously for the security reasons. But wait, sometimes even if the origin is properly set, we still get the CORS error. In that case, it's problem with another header, which is access control allow methods and access control allow headers. Let's understand the types of request. So one is the simple request, another one is the non-simple request. A request is called as simple request if it meets a certain criteria, like it has to be get, post and head method and does not include any custom headers and should use standard defined content type. Then this request is qualified as simple request. Note that if any of this get, post or head method has a custom header, then this request is not called as simple request. So apart from these methods, put, patch, delete are by default non-simple request. So when browser knows that it is a non-simple request, in that case it will initiate a preflight request, also known as option method. Preflight request is the one which is made before an actual request hits the server. So it's almost like client reaching out to the server to check whether the actual request is going to be accepted or not. This is also known as option request. Well, in this case, we get a clear error from the browser that there is an header missing for methods. So this we can simply fix by adding options into the allowed methods. Now let's say client hits an API which has custom headers, but the custom header is not configured on the server side in the access control allow headers. Then in that case, Preflight request when initiate, it will tell the client that okay, this custom header is not allowed. So the actual request will fail with CORS error. In this case, we get this error. So solution to this is obviously set correct methods and correct headers. Temporarily while development, you can bypass the CORS error by using some Chrome extensions, or there are some proxy websites which allow you to do that. But in production scenario, this won't work. Now you understand this whole CORS error happens because of the browser same origin policy, which is why you don't see that error in Postman. That's all about CORS. If you like this content, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.